Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Good afternoon, WSU. Distinguished guests, Dean Lead, faculty, family, friends, those joining us in the virtual space, and to you, the graduating classes of 2020, 2021, and 2022. It's an honor to be here. I, like everyone else, am thrilled to be in person. We should be all grateful. I was able to spend some time yesterday with your faculty, the dean, some of your student leadership, and some of the students graduating today, and it is a true pleasure to be with them. This morning, I got to shake everyone's hand or do the appropriate fist bump, look them square in the eyes, and wish them best on their journey forward. As graduates listen to commencement remarks, many expect an inspiring talk that challenges you to go out and do wonderful things. That is what you should expect. However, this commencement and these remarks come at a particularly critical time in our nation's history. So while my intent is to inspire you, and believe me, I'll get there, we'll have to tread through a few serious issues first. Abraham Lincoln said, "I will prepare, and someday my chance will come." You have prepared academically for many years, and now the world is giving you that chance. A unique opportunity for healthcare professionals to change and shape the future of the nation. If you ask why I think this, let me explain. The public's health is and has been at the forefront of the nation for the last 2 decades, well beyond this global pandemic. The pandemic simply put an exclamation point on the first 20 years of the 21st century. You and your families have all experienced unprecedented surges of challenging events. The beginning of the century, attacks on our own soil, September 11. A month later, in October of 2001, were the anthrax attacks. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and now Ukraine. Some of the most impactful hurricanes on record: Rita, Katrina, Andrew. You have grown up with uncommon public health crises like the opioid epidemic, mass shootings every month for a time, terrorist bombings. You have lived through record-setting epidemics and pandemics like SARS, MERS, Zika, Ebola, and now the great toll of the COVID pandemic. Currently, we have some of the highest prevalence of chronic disease ever recorded. We also have the highest rates of anxiety, depression, suicide, and overall stress in the last 100 years. This data, in my opinion, coincides with the most significant and insidious public health threat of our time, the social media platform and the negative impact it has on our population. It is certainly not by chance that this data coincides with the events mentioned and the environment we live in today. You have experienced an unfortunate polarization of politics and an unfortunate merger of politics and science, both directly and negatively impacting the public's health. Not all of these events started out as public health crises, but in the end, they have a tremendous impact on the health and the health behavior of our nation. This data and societal dynamics are sobering. I say this not to put a veil over today's celebratory day, but rather quite the opposite. It's to further define your opportunity and your ability to change the status quo. I've been through all these events and crises. They've affected me personally, as a father, as a husband, as a friend. and professionally. I have deployed to just about every one of these crises. And in some cases, I've even had the chance to help lead the nation's response. However, given the lens you have had throughout these crises and the resilience you have built to persevere, you are now the agents of change. The overwhelming impacts across the last 2 decades have seeded your opportunity if you choose to embrace it. Do not underestimate the pulpit you have been given as a scientist or a healthcare professional to catalyze change. According to a Forbes study in 2018, pharmacists, nurses, and physicians all ranked in the top 3 most trusted professions nationally, regardless of what profession. And that was before the pandemic. I think it's pretty safe to say that after the pandemic, given the care you've provided, that trust has only grown. If you think about the majority of the issues the nation has faced in the last decade, you can see that an erosion of trust has made the problems more pronounced. Trustworthiness, combined with your communication skills, the competencies you developed at WSU, your accessibility to the public, and your ethos to help others, can be used to strengthen bonds with individuals and communities. You are graduating as the gatekeepers of the nation's health. This is why you are so essential for change. Don't take that responsibility lightly. What you have been through since the turn of this century gives you an advantage to help reshape the world in a way that nobody else can do, in a way that creates a legacy for your generation. A legacy for your generation. That chance does not come often. In the 1920s, my grandfather migrated from the U.S. to Italy, or from Italy to the U.S. He came by himself on a boat from New York. To New York, he was 17 years old. He had no job, he had no friends, he had nowhere to go. He experienced the Great Depression as a young man. He survived flu epidemics that killed many of his friends. He fought in World War II and lived a long and prosperous life. He was a member of what we call the Greatest Generation. The members of the Greatest Generation didn't get their name during those events. They acquired their name afterwards. They earned it. What they taught us in the decades following helped shape our nation. Their work ethic, humility, resilience, adaptability to change. Most, if not all, 2022 graduates and your families have lived through diversity and frequency of challenges in the first 2 decades of this century that are eerily similar to those of our greatest generation. Also similar, I believe what you do next will set you apart from all other generations. You have matured in an age of technology, the iPhone, the communication freeway. However, I ask you to be bold and innovative in your approach to health and health behavior. You are prepared. And like your school's vision states, if you remember your school's vision, you can advance, protect, and promote the nation's health. You can change it for the better, just like our first greatest generation. My charge to you is threefold. First, I ask you to guide health behavior. Use your intellect, academic training, and compassion to challenge the status quo and the norms and help support people as they cope with the challenges. However, if you don't exemplify what you ask of your patients, why would you expect them to let you lead them or support them? Second, do your absolute very best to prioritize science in your approach. Filter through the noise that our society often creates. You have the ability and the competency to do that. Don't allow your personal opinions, which you are still entitled to, cloud your professional judgment. It is our duty as licensed healthcare providers. Lastly, and although it sounds easy to do, it's probably the most difficult, Be trustworthy. You have all seen how the erosion of trust, as mentioned, can negatively impact your patients and the nation's health. Trust is the foundation of relationships, and relationships govern the world. I have seen firsthand a lack of trust destroy individuals and organizations. At the same time, I've seen high levels of trust foster anything from a healthy workplace to the well-being of a nation. What I am about to say now is about as sincere as it gets. It affects me, it affects everyone behind me, you, your families, and the next generation. I have placed a responsibility and charge on you, but because of what you have been through and the fact that you are here today gives me no pause. Prove to all of us that your talents go well beyond a white coat or scrubs and a stethoscope. Do a better job than we have done to change our health trajectory and develop new and better ways to deal and be resilient. Your chance has come. Prove what I hope and believe, that you are the next greatest generation. It's time to unleash all of you to help us come together and shape a healthier nation. To the graduating classes of 2020, 2021, and 2022, stay strong, stay healthy, and congratulations once again. Go Cougs.